Hip-hop.
Anonymous. Saturdays.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sapo Saturdays. You got your boy ASAP Froggy, Bingus Frog,
Ribbit, y'all.
and Doc Frog all day.
What's going on? Let's get it hopping.
Welcome to Scratch Track Saturdays.
Thank you so much for hopping in with us on this beautiful Saturday. We have the privilege and the honor of speaking to Emily Lazar of September Mourning today. How are you, Emily?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great, thanks. Thank you so much for being here with us. This is really awesome. I understand you're on tour right now. How's that going?
Yeah, we had our first show last night in Missouri, and it was great. It was really great. Great turnout. Great people involved with that production. It was a really great venue. We got fed a lot of food, and that's always a good thing when you're on tour. So yeah,
That's sick.
I just took a shower, so I feel good right now.
Showers are also good on tour.
Yeah, what part of Missouri? I went to Missouri last year. What part are you in?
We were in St. Joseph. We're not in Missouri anymore. We're routing. We have a whole week of dates with Visto Blanco, so we're going up and down the East Coast with them.
Nice. That's
So
sick.
that was just our first warm up show we had to do, before we start really doing these runs. So.
Well, once again, thank you so much for being with us. We are Sapo Studios, operating under the umbrella of the Notorious Frogs, Frogland.io. We're looking to put ownership and profits back into the hands of artists that's been taken from them for so long from these big corporate labels. We're going to be unveiling a music marketplace at some point in the near future to sell and buy stems and do a whole lot more. But in the meantime, we're talking to artists and we're getting into music and NFTs. So again, thank you so much for being with us. Let me ask you, how did you get into rock? Because outside of Evanescence, and maybe that's just, my naivety, I don't know many female hardcore rock artists. So what brought you into that genre?
Oh, there are a lot of female hardcore rock artists.
Hey, give me a list. I'll start listening.
So Hailstorm is a big one. Lizzie Hale is a beast in hard rock.
Okay.
There's of course Taylor Momsen. Went from acting into hard rock, and she's amazing. And there's In This Moment. There's the Butcher Babies. There's
my fiance is gonna hate me. I'm gonna be blasting all of this shit for the next week and a half. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. If you go to the Heavy Queens playlist on Spotify, we're part of that playlist, and you can listen to a lot of of the bigger heavier rock bands that are female fronted, and there's a shit ton of them. So. Yeah, it's actually really cool. When I first started getting into heavy music was probably around 2006, 2007. I was like a Warped Tour kid. I always went to Warped Tour, and I loved all of the heavier bands.
I always wanted to go to Warped Tour, but I was never able to get tickets.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. I ended up making friends with a lot of bands there because I was in music. I was doing pop back then, but I was always into heavy music, and so I would just go and I started getting into really heavy music, like Dillinger Escape Plan and Glassjaw and bands like that. So that's kind of where I started loving it so much. And I remember going to a Dillinger Escape Plan show and seeing Ben hanging from the rafters upside down playing guitar and just shredding, and I was just I want to do this. What am I doing in pop music? Let me do this. And that's kind of why I started in on rock, and I was doing punk for a minute, and then I switched over to hard rock because I just loved more of the melodic sort of singer-songwriter, but heavy sort of stuff. And that's kind of what started September Mourning.
Yo, this is A-Bomb speaking. You had Bingus before, but yeah, I love heavy metal rock. I used to snowboard all the time in Idaho, and as I would just load my playlist up, I would find myself loading up more and more hard rock, just because as you're bombing down a hill and you're just like going to hit this giant jump, you want some adrenaline and courage in those moments, and that heavy metal just like gets you going. I was listening to some old school Rob Zombie the other day, and my fiance came home. She's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "It's Rob Zombie. You don't know?" And she's like, "No, I've never heard." And then she's like, "Okay, I kind of like it though." I was like, "Oh, let's go.
Oh God, Dragula is like still to this day one of my favorite tracks.
All time, right?
Every time that comes up, it's just like
it gets you going.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Side note,
so
Rob
great.
Zombie is working on a revival of the Munsters TV show right now, which I personally am super psyched for.
Well, he did the movie, right? So like they just finished the movie, and then now he's working on like a side TV show or something. But we toured with Rob.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we toured with Rob Zombie for a bit, and it was incredible. He's super vegan, and he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do anything like that. I'm very like that on tour. I'm like I don't do anything on tour. But it was just really cool because he's just so dedicated to his craft, and it was so uplifting and inspiring to be on tour with him.
I bet that's unbelievable.
Yeah, because I've been on tour with a lot of like bands, and they're just like, okay, let's go drink, and he's just like, okay, like what are we working on now? Like, and I remember coming off stage. I think the biggest compliment I've ever gotten from one of the people I've always looked up to, and Rob is one of those, is I came off stage, and we had the crowd really liking what we were doing, and they were singing back my lyrics to me. And so I came off stage, and Rob was like, "Hey, Emily," and I was like, "Oh, hey." And now, he's never like talked to me, so it was like weird. And I was like, "Yeah, what's that?" I thought I was in trouble. I was like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" But he comes up to me.
Yes, Mr. Zombie,
like,
what can I do for you?
Yeah, I was like, "What's up, Rob?" And he's like, I just want to say, like, I've never, like, out of all the bands that we've had, like, opening, like, I've never heard people like sing back lyrics like that to
Hell yeah.
opener. So that was really cool. Like,
that's fucking
good job
awesome.
Out there. And I was just like, oh my God.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it kind of made my life, and yeah, it was really cool. And John Five, his guitar player, actually played on my record for Virgin. He tracked some guitar on my record. He's an amazing guitar player. And so one thing that he always said is like, I remember talking to him in the studio. We were sitting there, and he's just like noodling on the guitar, and he's like, "Yeah, after I track with you, I got to go to my guitar lesson." I was like, "Wait, you still take lessons?" He's like, "Emily, there's always something to learn." Like that made me go back and start taking more vocal lessons and stuff like that, because he was just like, "Yeah, you never stop learning. Like there's always something to learn." And he was learning flamenco guitar at that point, and like with different types of strings and things like that. So it's just really, he's very, very cool. So everybody in that band it's really, they are professional and very, very driven, and they have a vision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I love that.
That's super dope, and it's true. You never stop learning. There's so much to learn out there, and I just want to say, you were talking about that moment with Rob. It really does mean so much more when you get a compliment from someone you really respect. And like, it's not to say you don't respect your friends and your family, but when they say you do a good job, it's like, okay, thanks, mom and dad. Thanks, bud. Whatever whoever's giving you the compliment, but then someone you really respect. It's like when we do this podcast and my parents listen in and they're like, the show is awesome. Like, cool. But like, then when like the Ed, the CEO of Frogland, hops in and he's like, "Hey, you guys had an awesome show." That like, it's just another level of like, oh, okay, that's really cool.
And it's cool when you like meet your idols and they're not assholes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're actually really amazing people, and they have great hearts, and they're like super driven, and just, they have visions like that. And you're just like, wow, like you're just like everything that I want to be. And that's Rob. He's that to me.
I find that to be very rare in today's, like when you meet your idols and they're not assholes. You know what I mean? Like you're like, are you sure you're not hiding something, Rob? No. I love Rob Zombie.
No, he's great. He's like a great person, and he married like they've been together forever, and she's his wife, and she was like a model, and then she wanted to be an actress, and he ended up casting her in like all of his movies. So
Yeah,
every
she's been in
movie
a
that he
bunch
does,
of them.
She's always in a movie. So I love that. That's like so cool to ride or die. Have that. And
and
he's definitely somebody I
talk
look up to.
talk about the epitome of don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, you see someone like Rob Zombie, at least me, I think like steak eating, carnivorous, fucking like drinking until 5 a.m. playing rock, whatever, but like you're like, no, he's super straight laced, vegan, just ready to get down to work. Like that's wild.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's like the total like opposite of some of his peers that kind of like, I won't mention names, but I've toured with them as well, and he's just the total opposite, and it's just refreshing because like he's got it going on, and it shows with his work ethic and like everything that he's produced and directed and all the music. And if you go to his show, like it's a whole thing, like it's a whole world come to life on stage. And I respect that so much because we try to do that with September Mourning. So, I learn a lot when we were on tour with Rob. I learned a lot about production value and everything like that. So
Hell yeah.
He's really very, very cool.
So let me ask you, how did you get involved with September Mourning? Where did you meet the members of your band?
So I started the project myself. Like the project was started based off of like a graphic novel that I wrote and published through Image Comics. And I wanted to, have a transmedia project. I didn't really start it as a band. I started it as something that was more than that. It was to tell a story, and we're supposed to play the characters on stage and bring it to life. And then it has all these offshoots of the story. So the music is an offshoot of the story, the music videos, the regular videos,
That's
the animated
fucking
videos, like
cool.
everything. Yeah, everything wraps around the storyline. So the story and the central character become the number one priority in the whole thing. And that's how we've kind of like directed it from here on out. And we have a lot of things coming with it, and it's really exciting. And so when I wanted to kind of like create a band around it, I started messing with some friends of mine in New York just to kind of like get a feel for like what I wanted to do. Because at that point I'd come from pop. I was messing around in like punk rock for a minute, but like I really had it written like a lot of rock songs. So I was really kind of coming into it like fresh, and so I was trying to get my chops up. So I just kind of experimented a lot with some of my friends, but it wasn't until about 2014 that we really established a lineup, and that was with Rich Jeswick, who created the band Gemini Syndrome, which was signed to Warner Brothers for a while, and he kind of like developed a whole scene in LA based around rock, actually, that was pretty noteworthy. Started with the Roxy, which is on Sunset Strip, and like he developed a whole scene there, and that's how he made his band big. And a lot of bands that I spoke about earlier in this room kind of came from that scene. A lot of us like grew up in that scene and kind of developed and got signed off of that actual scene because the A&R guys started coming to these shows, and Rich put me on one of the shows, and that's how I got Andy Gould, my manager. Andy's a huge manager. He manages everybody from like Guns N' Roses to to Rob Zombie for a very long time. And so Andy saw me at that show and he picked me up. So like those shows were entries for a lot of the LA scene into the rock scene. And we had like a little mini like sort of scene that kind of come into the foray with like major labels. Like I of course went to Capitol, Virgin, and Rich went to Warner Brothers. But then when he left that band, he came over to my band, and we made the lineup solidify and kind of went from there.
And was the graphic novel called September Mourning as well?
The graphic novel is called September Mourning. It's 4 comic books in one book, and you can buy it, anywhere from like Image Comics website to Top Cow website to Barnes and Noble, Amazon has it, Target has it. You can kind of get it anywhere online.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I'm definitely going to check that out. I'm someone who was always really into graphic novels and comic books, and I've read a lot of stuff out of Image and absolutely love their stuff. So that's really exciting to hear that you got something published through Image.
Yeah,
very cool.
Well, I'm interested in that. Oh, go for it, please, Emily.
No, I just want to say Mark Silvestri, who's one of the founding members of Image Comics. He also is my business partner on the comic book side. So
wow,
that helps.
Awesome.
That helps a little bit. That's why we're so smitten to have Ed and the Frogland team, helping us out, because it's just like, well, that's something that we're very thankful for, because
they're a powerhouse.
I have this saying too. I'm sure it's not my saying, but I say whoever's saying it is, whoever it is, bill me. I always say I never want to be the smartest guy in the room, and I usually, except for right now. In this room in the studio physically that I'm in with Bingus here and Chai Papoose, I'm just messing with him though. But it's interesting because you can gain so much just from listening to some of these individuals that you may interact with and get their perspective in a field that, I don't know much about graphic novels or anything like that, so I can only imagine. I don't know what your experience was or how much graphic novels you were into, or maybe not, but having that guy kind of walk you through it, I bet was amazing to have that.
Yeah, it was. I started reading comic books when I was like 12. I kind of found them in my grandparents' basement. My dad had a whole kind of box of them. A lot of Batmans. The first comic book I ever read was The Killing Joke, which, if you know that book, it's a really dark book. It's
very
about the
dark.
Joker.
Yeah,
it's very, very dark. And at 12 years old, I'm like reading The Killing Joke. And my grandmother was like, "What are you reading?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's so good." And she's like, "Okay."
I'm preparing for my hard rock days, Grandma.
Exactly. Little did I know how much that would really just shape my future. But so I went from there to like Daredevil and like a couple other books, but I ended up at The Darkness, which is like one of Mark's big kind of properties on Top Cow and Image. And The Darkness is an amazing book about this guy Jackie, who basically has this darkness inside of him that kind of manifests its way into his body and kind of like shows itself as this like crazy superhero dark dude with like these darklings around him, and he does all this crazy shit. So like it's really awesome. It's super dark, obviously. So I read that probably when I was around like, I don't know, 19 or something like that, when I first like read The Darkness, and I loved it. And so I kind of grew up with Mark Silvestri, Image Comics, Spawn, like all of that sort of stuff, the Witchblade, like Magdalena, like all of those. And so I was really excited thinking of doing something like this, because I hadn't seen anybody, become like a comic book character on stage at that point. So I was just kind of like, this is what I kind of want to do. And since I had all that background in reading all these books, and I loved Mark, I just took a leap of faith and I messaged him and on a social media platform, and he actually messaged me back, which was like freaking crazy. And we ended up starting a dialogue, and then he actually was going to be in New York for a meeting with like Beyonce or something. So he decided to take a meeting with me, and that's like, we literally had like a 6-hour dinner and discussed everything that this could be. And he's like, okay. And at the end of the dinner, he's like, so you want to do this or what? And I was like, yeah.
Yes, yes, please.
And that was kind of like the beginning of our like partnership. And
hell yeah!
Wow. We've done a bunch of things since then together, and we have a lot more to do. So,
well, what a cool and innovative idea to turn a graphic novel into an in real life experience in that way, and make the characters part of the band. That's really awesome. And I do want to get into a bit of your music. So we have you pulled up here on Apple Music. Is there a particular song from the album you'd like us to start with?
Well, it depends where you want to go. Do you want to go heavy? Do you want to go
heavy?
Let's go heavy.
Yeah.
Let's start heavy.
Come on. Yeah, I was like, I want to hear you get down right now, Emily. So let's go.
Okay. So let's go with Wake the Dead.
Very good.
Dead.
Let's wake them up.
All right. And that's off of which album? I see the single. Yep. We see the single. All right.
Bingus has bad eyes.
Yeah, very bad eyes. This is Wake the Dead, Emily Lazar fronting September Mourning. Check it out, y'all.
Born and bred to eat fucking medication.
Rock and roll. Emily, that was awesome. I am so amped right now.
Yo, do you by chance have any like footage of you recording that? Because I can only imagine how much like your fans. Because I mean I'm now one of your fans, Emily. So I can attest to this that I would want to see like because like seeing somebody in the booth in their like element and in that emotion like that would I mean especially with that type of music because it just like we were talking about earlier just gets you going. You know I would be so interested to see like the footage of you just laying down those vocals because that would be epic. But hats off, that was sick. I have a quick question: was the drum a double kicker or was it a single?
Yeah, it's double bass, and then we layer it with electronic.
Nice.
So you have like a couple of things going on. You have a drum loop, and then you have like double bass and like live drums on top of it. There's a lot going on. It's sometimes hard to hear on Twitter Spaces like music, because especially rock music, because there's so much nuance in it and there's so many instruments and layers that it gets a little bit, blurry. But,
we're probably more fortunate because we have our headphones plugged straight into the the mixer here, so we might be hearing it a bit more clear than y'all. Hey, everybody, go check this music out so you get the clear version of it,
the full experience.
Yeah, it's because that was phenomenally produced. Everything in it. It felt very cohesive and just a solid piece. How long did it take to lay that down from start to finish?
That one was a quick one, actually. It's funny. I wrote that with, Rich, obviously, who's my writing partner in the band. And then we have Nick Scott, who does a lot of our electronics. He's a fucking genius. He's worked on a lot of different records with a lot of different people. And so we work with him on the electronic part. And then Sahaj Tikatin is my kind of like co-writer that I've been writing with for 10 years now. And so he popped in and helped out with that too. So it was about 4 of us in the room, and we did most of the vocal. Actually, we did all of the vocals in Los Angeles at my friend Mark's studio, who's in the Valley. My friend Chris Lord-Alge is a phenomenal mixer, and he helped with the track as well. He, if you don't know him, he's won a bunch of Grammys. He's mixed everybody from Fleetwood Mac to Hailstorm to My Chemical Romance to everybody.
Wow.
And he works. Yeah, he works on my stuff all the time.
So this was right up his alley then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Chris is great. Chris is like the hard rock guy. I mean, he's the guy. If you go to an old school any of these really older legacy acts, rock legacy acts, and you go to one of their shows at Madison Square Garden, chances are that Chris is manning the board or something because they trust only him there. He's that guy that people he's I mean, everybody from Bon Jovi to whoever, it's just crazy. So but he's really cool. So he always comes in toward the end of the writing process and is okay, so we have this. If we want to do this, we need to take this out. We need to put this in. Maybe what if you did this? He kind of helps craft the track a little bit, which is very cool.
And that's great to have someone that has that vision to just be able to cut through everything and be okay, this is exactly what we need.
Yeah, he brings, because usually, and I love Nick and I love Rich and I love Saj, but sometimes we just get too in it and we can't see what it is, so it's good to have outside perspectives.
Yeah, it's extremely hard to be objective with your own stuff sometimes.
That's what I was gonna say. It sounds like you guys do this a lot of this construction and the initial core of it, and then he comes in with his keen eye, if you will, and kind of gives you an outside perspective that maybe you guys weren't able to see because you're so zoomed in on it. So that's a very valuable resource to be able to turn to, because I'm sure you guys are able to pump out stuff and make it to a great point, and then you're just like, hey, here, like, just toss the cherry on top, and that's awesome that he does that.
Before we go any further with this, I do want to reset the room real quick because we may have a couple of new listeners. So thank you all for stopping in today. We are Sapo Studios, looking to put ownership rights and profits back into the hands of artists. We're going to be unveiling a marketplace at some point soon to sell and buy stems and do a whole lot more. In the meantime, we're talking to artists about NFTs, music, and life. We have Emily Lazar in studio today of September Mourning. I am Bingus. I'm here with ASAP Froggy, also known as Shia Bapoose, and Doc Froggleday, also known as A-Bomb, and we are operating under the umbrella of Frogland. So thank you all for being with us. And yeah, just going back to what you were saying, Emily, it's really great to have someone like that, and I think you were going to continue here for a minute before I cut you off.
Yeah, no, Sahaj is the same way too. Like Sahaj is really good at like, okay, you know, like I'll come in with like an idea, melody or lyric or something like that, and he'll be like, okay, well, there's like too much going on here, or maybe there's not enough, or like, what if you just pared this down, or like, what if we simplified this melody, or like, what if we did, like, what if this drum beat hit here, or you know, and sometimes it's really helpful to have like other cooks in the kitchen that you trust.
Absolutely.
You don't want to have too many because then it gets like too convoluted.
See,
but if you have a core theme, then you're good.
That's what I was wondering. As you were saying this, I was like, wow, it sounds like you have a lot of people's input, and that input is good, but at some point, even with the, you know, your core team, at any point, and is it that point where, like, if you can say respectfully, I disagree?
Yeah, do you have ultimate veto power?
Right. Like,
yeah. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's our, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, they want us to be happy, like, for, like, what we're going to put out there. Because we're the ones going out on tour and playing this shit, like, every fucking night, right?
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So
you got to like what you're playing, or else you're not gonna be in it.
Yeah, like, and it's got to come from the heart. I'm a really big advocate for, you know, being part of the songwriting process, like a large part of the songwriting process. And there's a lot of pop people that don't even write their own songs. There's a lot of rock people that don't even write their own songs at this point. So, like, I'm a big advocate of, like, look, you know, you might not be a hit songwriter, but at least it's coming from you. And you're up there and you're speaking your truth. And I think that's, like, a big part of being an artist.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Let me ask you from a performance point of view and sort of, you know, a physicality point of view. Do you find that there's a difference in the way that you're using your vocal cords when you're singing this type of music than when you were singing pop? And does that take sort of a different level of training? Did you have to do something different? Do you have to be in a different kind of shape to do something like that? I mean, I know clearly you're not in a scream band where you're, you know, screaming your head off like some of these other acts, which would definitely be a completely different kind of thing. But where does that fall in terms of that transition for you from pop to hard rock?
Yeah, like, so I started studying with Melissa Cross, who is a really famous, like, screamo, like, metal, like, vocal teacher. I met her at an Under Oath show. I was backstage. Under Oath was playing in, where were they playing? Gramercy or something like that in New York. And
I love Gramercy.
Backstage. Yeah, it was really fun. I was backstage and I was just talking to some random people that were there that I knew. And she comes by and she looks at me and she's like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Emily Lazar. I'm starting a band soon." This is back in the day. And she's like, "Oh." And she's like, "So you're a singer?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, what kind of band?" Like, I was like, "Oh, it's going to be hardcore. It's going to be like, you know, some screaming, some singing, like da-da-da-da." And she's like, "Oh, do you have a vocal coach?" And I said, "I'm using a couple people," but she's like, "Well, I'm Melissa Cross." And like I was supposed to know who she was. And I was just kind of like, "Oh shit, wow." Like, but I didn't know who she was. So I was like, fuck. And she's like, "But I'd really like to teach you." And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, here's my card. Call me tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay." And so she like leaves. And my friend who was there, who was like in another band, and he's like, "Dude, you have to go see Melissa." And I was like, especially if she like asked you to come see her, like, just go see her. And I was like, why? Like, who is this chick? She's like, "Oh my God." She like trains everybody from like Chester Bennington to like, you know, the lead singer of Under Oath to like everybody. Like, she's trained everybody. And I was like, oh fuck, okay. So like I went to see Melissa and like she literally taught me how to scream properly, because when I first started, I wasn't doing it proper, and it can shred your vocal cords.
Oh yeah.
But like when Melissa teaches you, like especially like pitch screaming is another thing, because like it's like sometimes when you're doing these choruses, it's more like a shouty, singy sort of feel. It's not like a breathy, like just like sort of sing-songy sort of thing. It's more like you're almost shouting, but you're still singing. So that is a whole mechanism in your chords to master. On top of like going from like singing to screaming back to singing, it's like literally you're changing the way you place your larynx in your throat. So you've got to be able to master that, or else you can kind of like really do some damage to your vocal cords. So she trained me for a while, and she was amazing. And so I'm very thankful for her, and also to this guy named Don Warren, who I started when I was in pop. Like he was Britney Spears' vocal coach, and he was very much in the sort of method of like a little bit of opera in there too, for vibrato and things like that too. I have a lot of vibrato naturally in my voice, so he wanted me to control that more. So everything isn't like all the time. So he really helped me kind of like get a hold of that and master that a little bit more. I'm still learning on that side, but he's really good, really, really good. And but he was also about me having my own distinct style of singing, and I think that if you listen to my voice compared to a lot of different women in rock, I sound a lot different, and I like that.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that Larry Rudolph told me, he managed Britney for a long time. He told me, he was like, whatever you do, Emily, like if we hear you on the radio, you have to sound different than everybody else, because that's how you're going to make it. Because he's like, you don't want to sound like, you don't want to be like, oh, she sounds just like. You want to have your own distinct voice. That's very, very important.
Absolutely. And, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's just your story about Melissa Cross is just another example of, luck is really, or success is really hard work meeting opportunity. I don't know if it's luck or success, maybe both. But the point is, you just have to be ready. You have to be ready to go. And if something comes across your lap like that, and someone like Melissa Cross just offers themselves to you, you have to be ready to step up and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do this.
And you have to have I talk about courage and daring and being brave.
Absolutely.
In a lot of rooms. I've been talking about that more and more lately, because I think that, especially in a space like NFTs, where it's uncharted territory for the most part, you have to be really brave. You have to be able to accept failure, and that's a big part of being an artist. Is you're going to get more no's than you're going to get yeses, and you got to be okay with that. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been denied on different levels, but it doesn't stop me. It just kind of fuels me to, okay, well, how am I going to make this even better? And to the point, how am I going to get this to the point where nobody can ever say no to me?
Well,
and I think that's what you want.
And a lot of things are just a numbers game, right? I mean, you put yourself out there enough times, you get a bunch of no's, but you only need one yes.
Yeah, that's
very true.
What's interesting about what you're saying too is what Shia and I have talked about many, many nights is making decisions out of love, not fear. So in that sense, those decisions you make out of fear, you usually end up regretting them because you missed out on something because you were fearful of, maybe the outcome of what it could have been. But if you make a decision out of love, it usually ends up in a good place, because it's something that you truly wanted, and that it's what your heart wanted at the end of the day. So how could you not be fulfilled by making that choice out of love rather than fear? I literally have a tattoo of a guy stepping off of a cliff on my side, based off of that concept, which is to run head into the things, which I have actually ran head into many things, actually, unintentionally, but still.
Like a door? I'm just kidding.
No, like a shattered, no joke, like a shattered glass windshield that my dumbass had stomped in a little bit. I was being a notorious fool I was a young kid, and I was doing that heavy metal stuff, breaking stuff and whatnot. But no, for real, I was just being an idiot, and I had some Chuck T's on. It was sort of there's condensation in the air that night, and this car hood that I was on was slanted, and I gave one last good, whack I was going to give on this windshield that I was loving, I guess, with the bottom of my foot, and the windshield paid me back because I slipped with my momentum going forward, and my face went straight into that shattered windshield. So take it, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's like some jigsaw shit from like Punisher.
Oh,
That's
dude.
like really
Instant karma.
You should see his face.
Instant karma. Yeah, we Bingus and I here had to go to USC to actually record music with a very proper lad that's doing some great stuff out here in the music scene in LA. And
No, your face was banged up then because you went surfing and you hit your face into the rocks.
rock.
He's got a
Different
lot
times.
of these stories
Oh my God.
with his face just making love to all
It's
sorts
like
of...
a bubble around your head.
yeah, this is why I love heavy metal, though, Emily. See, when people see me, they're like, "Oh, that guy's heavy metal for sure."
He's hardcore.
There you go.
I love it.
All right,
Well,
so...
just about what you were saying about love, I just want to say one quick thing. I think that it's really weird for artists because we really need to learn emotional control. We don't have a very good sense of that because of just the natural like who we are at our core and how we express ourselves. We let go of emotion. We let it run free throughout ourselves. And I think that's what makes some of, art incredible is that emotion just kind of pours out of it. And there's not a lot of control in it. But when you're talking about the business side of things and making decisions, you have to be very, very much in tune with your emotions and in control of your emotions, which goes back to the fear versus love sort of situation.
Definitely.
So if you do things like out of fear and just like trigger, if something triggers you and you just act on it, then you're going to have a hard time, managing a career. But if you take a minute and you step back and count to 10 and just kind of look at the lay of the land before you actually make those decisions, I think you'll be a lot better off. And that's very hard to do as an artist. I've struggled with that for years, but I'm a lot better now than I ever have been. But
That's very well
it's something
said.
that you have to learn.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree. That's extremely well said too, because that's something that is love. I call it the love language, and you have to learn because your love language might be like music and creating that music and that art, but you have to learn a different love language because the business people, their love language is money. So you need to learn how to speak to them in a different way. If you can't do that, then like you're saying, you're going to have somewhat of a difficult time and also let your emotions rule over that because you're not aware of even how to address it because you're just acting without thinking. So smart moves. I know all these things take time. I'm still learning how to do some of these things. So
You're still learning how to communicate just on a basic level.
yeah, it's
Forget love language. We're working on English with
well,
you.
I've learned how to dodge things with my face. We have step one figured out.
Step one.
Yes.
We're on to step two.
We're moving on. Anyways, let's move on with Emily.
Yeah. So, Emily, when you first reached out to us, you had said that you were the first female rock musician to mint an NFT. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so according to Blockchain News, you can look at the article, Daily Blockchain News. I was the first female hard rock metal musician to mint and sell on the blockchain.
If you can send me that article in our email, that would be awesome because I do want to share it with the Frogland community.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
I could DM it to you.
Great.
For sure. So that's kind of like that was kind of like the first thing I did, and they picked it up and kind of ran with it, and it's kind of been my staple in the space. First mover advantage is very big in tech. So when this whole, when I saw everything happening with NFTs, I definitely wanted to be in there in the get-go, in the jump, and because I really do think that we have to change the game a bit. I mean, the game still works on a certain level for artists, like depending on how your deal goes or how it's structured, with labels and stuff like that. But I think that there are more unsigned artists than there are signed artists. So
Absolutely.
What can we do for the majority to, instead of having them suffer like a minority, just have them be the majority and have them be able to create and actually make a living. So I thought NFTs were a great gateway to figuring out this problem that has been plaguing us for so long, because we have been kind of slaves to the third parties that kind of monetize above us, and then the trickle down economy becomes platform to artists. And,
Exactly.
And NFTs, it's artist to platform, which is really, next level and a wonderful thing to see.
Well, yeah, and it's not just about profits and ownership and all of that, but it's also about exclusivity almost, because they've built this business where you have to be part of their club in order to get seen almost. And that's also the way that I feel like NFTs are changing the game and bringing, a show like ours where we have someone like you that's performed, for opening for Rob Zombie and working with Image and doing all of these amazing things with these amazing people. And then we have a show with someone that hasn't had ties to anyone, that we're finally getting some eyes onto their music and onto what they do. And I think that this world kind of opens that up to more artists and unsigned artists like you're referencing, to be able to be part of this whole culture and movement that music is.
Well, yeah, and sorry if you're going to go, Emily, but I just wanted to point out as well something we pointed out in the past, which was there was an artist, unfortunately I don't know who it was, they minted 50 copies of their album. There wasn't like any royalties connected to it. It wasn't like you owned a portion of the album, but still they minted 50 of them and they sold them, and that amount of money equaled the amount of money that they would have garnered if they reached like 300,000 streams on Spotify, or it was a 3 million. I'm a terrible journalist right now, so forgive me. But yes, there was some sort of moment where somebody was finding that the value through NFTs, and therefore now if it's ever sold or rebought, that artist still gets that same payment of the royalty, which that it's very interesting. I know it's so cheesy. We're early. But it kind of is true, and it's interesting that we're finding this next layer, and NFTs are meshing now with music. And we've had some conversations with one individual I had a conversation with who's actually a lawyer that was helping out with music and stuff like that with other clients, was talking about the real advantage that this gives to artists in the long run. And we're very excited to, help artists and just get them what they're due. That's really the whole point of all of this.
Yeah, well, what you're touching on, I think, is mostly music distribution. And by the way, I pinned that to the top, the Daily Blockchain News article about me, so you guys can check that out. One big thing that made me really wanted to jump into NFTs was the thought of being able to do music distribution through the blockchain and have it hit different than it does like on Web 2, i.e. like instead of getting 0.003 cents per stream, we're getting the majority, of the revenue instead of giving it to the third party. So,
which is the way it should be.
Which is definitely the way it should be. And the first NFT that I dropped included a song when you got it, the unlockable content gave you the actual, song. So and I think the first one I sold was for like, I don't know, like $300 or something. I don't know, $350 or something like that. And, so I sold a song for $350. So like how many streams would it take for me to make $350? Let's see, 0.003 cents per stream. You're talking about, a good, 10, maybe 20,000 streams, 30,000, 40,000 streams. I don't even know. Maybe even more than that. But I can't do math like that in my head that quick. But you're talking about a lot of streaming just to get to that point, which would have taken us, a good chunk of time. And since we're not making like 1 million streams per month, Post Malone or something like that. So it became like, oh, wait, I can do this. Oh, well, what if I, actually used it as a distribution model? I mean, I kind of did it through that, but not really. So with my generative drop with September's Monsters, you get a monster and you get access. It's token gated to my Discord channel that has all of my music that you can download for free in perpetuity. And I just keep on putting new music in there. And the monsters get my music before anybody else does. Before it hits Spotify, Apple Music, anything, they get to listen to it. And they get to quote unquote own it as play it in on any device they want, because they actually have the MP4 of it. So I think that was a great way to start the distribution model, and I did that last year, and it's been working great. And we're working on a second version of the September's Monsters to come out soon, and we're going to do even more with that and try to break some more paradigms in the music industry.
That is awesome. I love what you're about, and I love the direction that you're moving in. This is all really exciting stuff, especially, in a time right now where we're all getting into NFTs, and it's really changing the game. Hats off to you. Really exciting time, and really great what you're doing.
I love that you're just making moves, yo. Like, you're literally getting it done. That's something that we've been saying as of recently, because I've been coining the phrase, or I took the phrase that Ed coined, which is, we're not in a bear market, we're in a builder's market. So hats off to you for building.
Yeah, I think it's really important. If you see, I say this in rooms all the time. People looked at crypto and they were like, "Oh, crypto's going to be a hedge against inflation. Bitcoin's going to be a hedge against inflation." And then we watched the market rise and fall, just as like the stock market did, and it wasn't a hedge. It's not a hedge yet. I mean, maybe in the future it might be, but it's not right now. Mm-hmm. It's acting as a speculative asset. But my whole thing is like, okay, so maybe, Bitcoin itself or what, that's not the hedge. The hedge is actually the technology. The hedge is this NFT technology where we can, as artists, create and like in perpetuity, like, give these royalties back to ourselves and also to our fans, and let them earn money as well from flipping these things and things like that. Like that, this is the hedge, because if this technology is adopted more widely, this could actually outlast like anything else out there, right? So
absolutely.
To me, that's a really good example of a hedge, more so than some coin or something like that, So I really do believe that technology in general is a hedge against everything in our lives. So yeah.
I 100% agree with you. The fact of the matter being that it wasn't like we got the cell phone and then went back to a pager because we were like, oh, fuck the cell phone, the pager's better.
Exactly.
Like, we always evolve with technology, and technology leads that, that narrative in a major way.
I don't know, man. I'm ready for a flip phone again.
Yeah, I know you are, but that's just because you hit your head a couple times too hard. But at the end of the day, I'm very bullish. I guess I'll use these terms now. Very bullish on the concept that you're bringing forth, because we have some ideas that when all is said and done, they're going to do exactly what you're talking about, and it'll be a dual incentive for not only the artist but also the fan or an investor. You could have a fan that's a diehard, and they'll have even more reason now to come in and want to take part in your ecosystem that is in an NFT ecosystem, as well as an investor. Somebody that, again, their love language is not music, it is money. You can still talk to this person about this with this concept that we've developed with Frogland to essentially have them actually pay attention to what you're saying. I pitched Big Sean outside of a room, and I pretty much gave him the pitch really quick, and he was blown away by it, and he was very excited to hear what we have coming. So I love that you're over here and you're feeling this, because it's just awesome that we have all like-minded points of view just to put power back in the artist's hands. So
it's super important.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to have you repeat again what the name of that Monsters NFT collection is you have, so that anyone in the audience that does have an interest in picking that up can go ahead and do so.
Yeah, I also pinned it to the top. Anyone that wants to check it out, it's pinned at the top of the space.
The Monsters NFT collection?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah,
perfect.
It's in number 3. If you scroll over to the third one, I talked about like one of the monsters that's actually on like up for sale right now. We only have like, I don't know, 26 or something of them out of 1,000 up for sale, because people are just holding these things because they just keep providing utility. And also, if you hold a monster and you come to my show, and there's some people in the audience that have actually done this, Quinn being one of them. I see Nikki there. I see James is in the room. Like, they've come to the shows and they get 20% off of merch, and they get into our VIPs for free. So if you pick up a monster and you come to one show and you get your 20% off and you get to come into VIP, you've basically, paid for like half of your monster right there. So like if you do that a couple of times, guess what? You've paid for your NFT. So, and you get that in perpetuity. That doesn't stop, once or twice. That's just like forever. And it gets people into the shows, and it's really fun to meet everyone and see which monster they have. And it's just a fun way to give back to the community and get us closer together.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Listen, we do have someone from the audience that was making a request to come up and speak. Maybe they have a question or a comment for you. So if you're amenable to that, we'd love to bring them up. And
anybody that wants to come up.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, CryptoWizard77.eth. What you got? Do you have any questions, or you want to speak on the topic at all?
Oh, I was just coming up to say I just put my my frog punk rock queen September's Monsters PFP on. So this is one of the September's Monsters one. I got one off the drop and got a couple more. They're really cool. I didn't know about the VIP bonuses. I wonder if there's any chance of an Australian tour there, Emily.
Oh, I'd love to come to Australia. Are you kidding me? Like I've been wanting to go to Australia and play Download Fest for like a minute now. So hopefully in the future that will happen. And but if you ever come stateside, of course, or if we're in Europe, wherever you see us, if you see us out on the road and you can come to a show, you get VIP access if you have that monster.
Awesome.
So,
one more reason to get to one of those next NFT conventions over there and see if I can line it up with a tour.
Well, I will tell you that if you come to Miami for Art Basel, we are playing the after party of the Web3 conference. So you can come to that. You can get 20% off merch there. If we do a VIP there, which we might, you can definitely come to that as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Great. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I was just popping up to show off the monster PFP and just say hey. I've got up last time I was in one of the Sapo studios room. I pulled an all-nighter to make it till 5:00 Sunday morning, but this time I've actually woken up early because one of the last days of moving the Wizard workshop. So, but yeah, I woke up a little bit earlier than usual. So I guess I'm glad I did. I didn't realize. I was going to miss another good one, but I'm here now, so I'm excited. And great.
Well, thank you
so much. We're going to be announcing some more stuff with these monsters, but also in a V2 collection that's going to have even more accessibility to things that the band does as well. So be on the lookout for that. And I love your PFP. I love the Mohawk ones; those are so dope. So yeah, and she has that black metal T-shirt on. I like her; she's great. She's got that Lord of the Rings like staff from Gandalf too. I love that.
Yeah, I also got another witchy one with the witch hat and I think she's got a witch hat and has
Harry
the
Potter.
witch.
The Harry Potter one.
Yeah, the wand and the hat. So I was like pretty happy to get that combo.
Yeah, so the premise behind the monsters is that it's an offshoot from the September Mourning book, and September Mourning is this Reaper human hybrid that gives souls second chances at life by putting them in other people's bodies. And in doing so, she kind of messes with Fate, who's the antagonist in the book, and Fate wants to take all the good souls out of the world and leave all the bad, so the world will self-destruct. So when September starts doing this and saving these good souls, Fate sends all her Reapers after September, and she starts basically an epic war between the living and the dead, with September right in the middle of it. So this is an offshoot of that storyline where September is being chased by Stitch, who's this, Reaper that comes from Fate, and Stitch is the master of space-time. So he splits her timeline into 1,000 different timelines, and she looks different in each timeline. So that's why when you pick up a monster, it says timeline number 67 or timeline number 150 or whatever. So you get a different timeline, and when she wakes up after this has been done, she's in the monster rehab, which is my business partner on the side of this NFT project, which is NFT Media Box, and they have the monster rehab collection. And so this is a kind of like a culmination between the two collections. It has Monster Rehab and called September's Monsters, where September is trying to save these monsters because their souls have been taken by Fate. So she wakes up in this monster rehab trying to save these monsters, and it's a whole story around that. So it was really fun to work with those guys on this project. I really do believe collaboration is the future of all these NFT projects too, and I was really lucky to collaborate with those guys on the Monsters project. It was a lot of fun, and we're going to be doing this V2 soon too.
And it's really nice to hear you articulate on the lore, because it shows that, it's not just bullshit that you tried to hop on the NFT bandwagon and hitch yourself to that horse. It's really that your heart is in this, and you care about the lore, you care about the story, you care about what you're building, and it's really cool. I do want to say thank you so much to Crypto Wizard for coming up, for dedicating yourself to be at our shows, staying up all night. That's really cool, man. And we really appreciate you being here whenever you can make it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
We do have one more request for someone that wants to hop up.
Also, a pretty well-known, as well as Crypto Wizard, we are well aware of and acquainted with, and as well as this individual, Barefoot, we have up here. So, Barefoot, how are you doing, friend?
You understand, Ribbit, my whole forest got burned.
No.
So, yes, my forest got burned.
How?
I tell you, I was blessing for so long, and today, I tell you, the last few days, the rage of fire was raging inside me. And today, when I came into the space, there was no other suitable music for me, So I connected, First of all, Emily, I must say, yes, I feel your heart and I feel your genuine voice, not only the clear voice of your singing, but the pain of the heart, yes. So I just wanted to tell you that on this space, yes, when money is a big part of the space, yes, and emotion are being put to the side, it's nice to see how you manage to bring it, as they say, from the back door, yes, bring the emotion and make your money because you deserve it. So shout out for that. And Ribbit, look, it's the first time I put my froggy for Frogland. That's how I feel. You can look at my froggy, full of love and suffer. Bless you, Ribbit. Always a pleasure.
We love you, Barefoot.
Ribbit, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for coming up and sharing your kind words for Emily. We love her. We think she's amazing, and she absolutely deserves to be making every cent she's making. So I agree with that sentiment completely. It looks like we have
we had another speaker that came up, excuse me, for a minute by 2 Degrees, but 2 Degrees I think might have gotten rugged. So
gotcha. On that note, I think we are going to play one more of your songs, Emily, to kind of lead us out. So which song would you like to leave the audience with?
Oh wow. One of my favorite songs is called Unholy. It's a couple years old, but I really love the song. I don't know. It just really speaks to me. I think it's a lyrical thing that a place where I was writing it from. And that place was just so, I don't know, certain things stick in your mind as memories and they don't go away. Like you'll probably remember them even if you had dementia or something. There's still memories that'll still stick in your mind, and that's one of them. And when I wrote that song, I was very present in what I was going through. So
it's funny.
So yeah, let's play Unholy.
Yeah, just real quick, it just made me think of, you talk about dementia and the things that you would hang on to. They say that even people that have Alzheimer's and some forms of dementia, music is the one thing that they're actually able to hold on to where they can still sing songs and remember lyrics, and it's wild that connection.
Yeah, my father told me. So my father's a neurologist, and he told me that. He was like, you'll probably remember the songs that you've written over your name at one point in
it's
your
amazing
life. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, that's how your brain works.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is insane. Listen, Emily, thank you so much for being here today. This has been a real treat for us. You've had a really cool career. You've got an amazing thing that you're launching here with the way that you're attacking the business, and we absolutely love it, and we're in support of it. We'd love to have you on the show again down the line sometime. We really want to say congratulations on your tour. Hope that goes really well. Happy the kickoff was awesome. And yeah, again, just thank you so much for being here, taking the time for us, for our audience to answer some questions. It's been awesome.
Yeah, please, everyone, follow Emily. Give her band September Mourning a follow as well. We've pinned a bunch of tweets at the top. She's going to be, like she said, doing a version 2 of her launch, so be on the lookout for that. And we are very thankful to have artists such as yourself in this space, Emily. It means the world that we can see strong women rocking out, you know what I mean, and doing their thing on the music side and the business side. So
Hell yeah.
Keep smashing it. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for having me here. And if anyone wants to check out my tour dates, they can just go to septembermourning.com/tour dates and check them all out. We are playing for the next 2 months through September. So come out to a show. Come rock out with us. Come say hi to me. I'd love to meet all of you guys.
Hell yeah. And that's Mourning spelled like you're mourning the dead with a U in it, not mourning like the morning.
M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G.
Yep. So when you look her up, just make sure you're looking up Mourning the right way. All right, we're going to go ahead and play Unholy to close out the show. Love you all. Thank you to our audience for hopping in today. Ribbit. Thank you to the Notorious Frog team for always showing us so much love and for facilitating us having this space. We hope everyone has a beautiful rest of your Saturday and rest of your weekend. And this is September Mourning with frontwoman Emily Lazar doing Unholy.
Eclipse of your eyes, addiction, attraction, our physical lines blur, bodies unfurl into each other. They were meant for this death, chemical bliss, and I don't wanna be saved. No, I'm down on my knees, my soul in disguise. I pray for the devil. Consciously, constantly can't justify my reason this time, 'cause no other touch ignites a flame. There's no one to blame, and I will never be saved. No, I'm down on my knees, my soul in disguise. I pray for the devil inside. I can't be saved from burning alive. I pray for the devil inside. If looks could kill, you'd slay. Am I another prey you feast on every day? Until I lose what's wrong. I've been here once before. I've seen the open door. Souls don't belong to me. 'Cause I feel fucking lost. Down on my knees, my soul in disguise. I pray for the devil. The devil.